Let's go drift it.
Hey guys, it's the Drifting Dad, and today we're going to take a look at my new fuel cell. Basically, I've been looking for a fuel cell for a while now. The stock RX7 tank was designed for a carburetor low pressure application. So when I put the high pressure pump in, it did not exactly work as like a modern EFI tank. There's no baffling in there, so that under cornering, especially in left-hand corners, the fuel goes away from the pickup and it starves real bad, which obviously is not the greatest for the engine and kind of stinks when you're mid-drift and then all of a sudden you have no power and you stop drifting. So I got really frustrating really quickly, really old, so I decided to get a fuel cell to fix that. So since I already had a internal pump and I like that setup, I don't necessarily am a huge fan of external pumps. I wanted to find a pump or find a fuel cell that had an internal pump. And you can see this Hyperfuel fuel cell has an internal pump. I was really just looking online, stumbled upon this company Hyperfuel and reached out to them. They were happy enough to help me out and I got this 15-gallon fuel cell. There are some other companies that offer fuel cells, but they are wide range in price. I mean, you have the Jazz and RCI, companies like that. They've got those plastic fuel cells, which those are plenty safe, obviously, but they do not have provisions for internal tank, internal pump mounted of any kind. And then if you have to want to go to internal pump, on the other end of the spectrum, you have the really super expensive like Radium or Fuel Safe, one of those, and that's just kind of too much for what I wanted to spend right now. I mean, they work great, but they do have foam and stuff in them as well, and that foam will deteriorate, especially on a street car when you're running ethanol gasoline or gasoline that's not like a race gas or something. What I'm going to do here is just show you what's inside this fuel cell. So start off, you've got the this is the fuel level sender, which looks like one of those resistance ones. I'm not sure if it'll work with my setup or not. We've got a vent, a -8 AN, -6 AN feed, and it looks like another -8 AN return. And then you have kind of like a aircraft style cap. So, yeah, you turn it like that, lifts off. Take a look inside the cell. This cell does not have foam in it. It is just a bare cell. It is aluminum, decent welding. It is like a tiny bit warped. It's got these feet, and it has also this nice like bead roll feature or stamp feature. I guess makes it a little stiffer, but all in all, pretty nice. And this is a 15-gallon cell. They also have a 6-gallon and a 20-gallon. Here's inside the cell. Kind of see, it's not really focusing, but just a bare black aluminum cell. So what I'm going to do here is just take off, this is like the fuel sending unit. It's got nice stainless steel Allens, and take a look at the pump and hanger assembly and check to see if there's a baffle or not inside. All right, we'll go ahead and take a look inside. We took off the bolts so you can see, very simple. We just have a pump of unknown origin. I guess Hyperfuel's having someone make this for them. It's got the strainer. It's got this really nice aluminum standoff, aluminum clamp, and then submersible hose. It's 5/16, and then the nice AN fitting. See, it's got a pass-through bulkhead for the wiring as well. So it's nice. And then another bonus is you can see here that's baffling actually. So that's going to keep the fuel in the position underneath the pump when I'm cornering. So I would say that's definitely the biggest thing you want to look for in a fuel cell if you have an internal pump, is that it has baffling. So no matter where you get what you get, if you are going to run an internal pump, and even if you run an external pump as well, you want to have baffling in the pickup area so that as the car moves side to side, you can imagine those walls, there's 4 walls, kind of hard to see, but there's 4 walls in there, and that's going to keep the fuel in one position. The other important thing is having these pass-throughs. So basically you have the wire, these are sealed so that no gas fumes or gas itself can leak out. And if you use the gas, you don't have to worry about gas wicking through the wires or anything. So you have these labeled plus or minus. That's nice to have as well. The original plan here was to try to find a fuel cell that fit inside this wheel well like I talked about before. Hyperfuel does sell a 6-gallon cell that would fit in there, but I just thought that was going to be too small because there's still a chance that I would actually street drive this car. So what I'm going to actually did, the 15-gallon cell, which was our next size up, will fit if I do some trimming in these corners. So I'll set the cell in and show you what I mean. Here's the cell set in. You can see that it is overhanging a little bit in the front, and what I'll do is actually trim those and the cell should drop right in. What I mean here is I'm going to trim that part of the sheet metal out and make a little pocket, drop the, so be like trim in here and trim in here, drop so that will drop down. Then I'll make a new floor for that and new sides so it's all sealed in. And then if I want to at some point I can actually make a cage around it as well. I've got to check the rules and see if that's going to be necessary or not. I mean, this is technically still inside the vehicle, so I will need some sort of firewall as well. So I will get to that. Next step I'm going to do is take out the old gas tank, get out of the way, and then start cutting and trimming to put the fuel cell in. Got the tank out now, so what I'm going to do is drill the spot welds to get this off, and then I'm going to actually try to hammer this flat instead of cutting it out so I don't have to patch back a hole when I'm done. I'm going to have to stop for tonight, but you can see I've got the spare tire holder off. Starting to bash this in. I've got to clean up this metal. I'll grind it smooth, fill this hole, but I want to try and get this as flat as I can. See what I can do. I think it's just going to take a lot of hammering to do so. And then I'll be able to trace, and I want to get rid of all the sound editing too, but then trace for where I'm going to have to trim and start cutting that out so I can get the fuel cell in. Originally I was going to use this hose here, which is like a nice Brennan Miller and 6 hose. It's got like BTFE lining, so it should be resistant to the ethanol and stuff, but it is actually too short by a few feet. So I mean, you use parts of this hose still with new hose ends, but I'm primarily going to use some hard line and run it from back here all the way up to the engine, and then do the end line, maybe push lock from basically kind of like how these are done, but just do those with the push lock a little nicer. So the next thing I'm gonna have to do here is trim the ear for the mounting so that it will slip in on this part. And then I'm also gonna trace here while I'm at it so I can cut the chassis, so this will sit back down into the spare tire wheel. So I'll mark that and then do some cutting. So now I've cut these sections out. I'm gonna have to box them back in, I think is gonna be the best bet. And you can see the exhaust runs pretty close, so I'll probably reroute that. And I'm going to set the fuel cell in, see how it fits, see if I need to do any cleanup. I could probably stand to clean this up a little bit. So we'll see. I still need to trim a little here and maybe a little there. I'm just gonna sand it. Looks like it's fitting pretty good up front. Here I've got the fuel cell all in. Next step is to make some straps for it, and then run the plumbing for the feed, the return, and the vent, and also put the fuel pump wires on, and I may try to get the sender working as well. Thank you guys for checking out the video. I will be hopefully making some more progress on this very soon. Just need to get some plumbing and whatnot ordered up. So please check me out on Facebook if you haven't, and check out Hyperfuel Systems as well. It looks like they make a very solid product.